The glory of Formula One is attainable by few on the path to success in this category. Is it normal for a driver to give it their all trying? Being a Formula One world champion is probably the dream of any racing driver. And being in this world, the ambition to achieve it is greater than anything else. When two equally ambitious drivers meet, they often engage in memorable battles. Nothing is more spectacular than watching two great drivers go wheel to wheel for the greatest glory in motor racing. Today we will start with a new mini-series on this channel, where we will tell you about those legendary rivalries between two or more drivers. Rivalries that brought the world of Formula One to drama, controversy, suspense, action, and high-caliber battles on the track. To inaugurate this series, we will perhaps have the rivalry of the past decade. Two childhood friends, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, became fierce rivals as pilots, ultimately seeking to destroy each other. Who from 2013 to 2016 were teammates at Mercedes-AMG Petronas, and who battled for the World Drivers' title on 3 occasions. Formula One fans were divided between supporters of Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. So, without further ado, for now, welcome then to the first chapter of the mini-series of legendary Formula One rivalries, Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg were fierce rivals for the Formula One World Championship from 2014 to 2016. Given the crushing dominance of Mercedes without opposition in those seasons, only they could be candidates to be world champion drivers. This caused a battle between them that would push them to the limit, both on and off the track. The two were great childhood friends who competed in different categories but maintained a close personal relationship. It was common to see them very close in the Formula One paddock and Nico Rosberg's first podium in Australia. 2018. It is the best memory of the great friendship they both had, who celebrated with great joy the Germans' first success in the category. Both became teammates for the 2013 season. In 2010, Nico Rosberg joined the Mercedes team as a driver, partnering with Michael Schumacher. Prior to this signing, Rosberg was a driver for the Williams team, who drove their cars from 2006 to 2009 in those years. Williams' best result would be finishing second in the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. And with Mercedes, his best result would be a victory achieved in the 2012 China Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton had been in Formula One from 2007 until 2013. He drove for McLaren, winning the 2008 World Championship and a total of 20 victories with those from walking. But at the end of 2012, he switched to Mercedes, who were bidding farewell to Michael Schumacher, and sought in Lewis Hamilton someone with the potential to lead them to the top of the grid. A move that at the time was heavily criticized for the British, as Hamilton was leaving a leading team like McLaren. For Mercedes, who in their 3 years since returning to Formula One, consistently remained in the midfield of the grid. Fate had put these two friends on the same team for 2013. Both received this with great joy, believing their strong relationship would be perfect to lead Mercedes to success as a team. Unaware that at this point, the two would start one of the most publicized rivalries of the past decade, and a battle that would end their friendship forever. "2013 marked the start of this rivalry. Mercedes in that season showed much more competitiveness than in previous years, where in the first half of the campaign they showed themselves as serious contenders for the drivers' and constructors' title in that season. This year would be particularly calm for both, despite their high level of competitiveness. The crushing dominance of Red Bull after the summer break left them without real options to fight for the drivers' and constructors' championships. However, the second round of the World Championship between these two was not without controversy. Hamilton and Rosberg experienced their first tensions, as during the course of the race, both drivers were showing a good pace to try to beat the Red Bull team. The team was experiencing significant tire degradation in their single-seaters and wanted to avoid ruining their races due to the high wear. When Hamilton and Rosberg were battling for the last step of the podium, the team asked them to maintain their positions to save the third place and not put it at risk. The German, who was in fourth place, was not amused by the situation, and who had been showing a much faster pace than Hamilton. Despite Rosberg's request to overtake his teammate, Mercedes decided not to intervene. With this, Hamilton finished third, achieving his first podium with Mercedes. However, there was high tension among all the drivers on the winner's podium. Red Bull was involved in a team orders disobedience situation by Sebastian Vettel. This topic dominated most of the questions asked that day from the podium. However, when Hamilton was asked about his feelings about the Grand Prix, right after thanking the team in front of the cameras, he conceded that Rosberg deserved to be on the podium instead of him. He had a very solid race and would not have finished fourth if not for the team order. However, the team resolved the issue internally, preventing it from escalating further. And the season continued without any major problems between the two of them. In 2013, Hamilton finished fourth in the Drivers' Championship, winning only the Hungarian Grand Prix. Rosberg finished sixth in the championship, winning in Monaco and Silverstone. However, 2014 is when this rivalry explodes, the cordiality between them ends, and their great friendship of several years comes to an end. Mercedes provided both of them with an unbeatable car, with which it only depended on them to become world champions, as they had a brutal advantage in relation to their engine, which inaugurated the hybrid era in the Grand Circus and would be the determining factor in Mercedes' dominance that season. The first major battle between them occurs at the thrilling Bahrain Grand Prix, where they engage in an epic duel during the final laps, a fight which would pit both wheel to wheel in the pursuit of victory. Lewis Hamilton, with an impressive defense, took the win. The battle between the two was magnificent. After exiting their cars, they congratulated each other for the duel with a huge gesture of emotion. But two grand prizes? Then the breaking point between them would come, and the exact point where the rivalry that led them to hate each other begins. At the Spanish Grand Prix, Hamilton secured his fourth straight win and took the lead in the World Drivers' Championship. For his part, Rosberg found himself behind the Brit in the championship for the first time that season. And Monaco was the perfect opportunity to stop Hamilton's streak and regain the lead. Hamilton demonstrated his superiority over his rival during the Monaco Grand Prix practice sessions, but this was particularly evident in the Q3 classification. Rosberg secured first position on his initial attempt in the final classification round, which momentarily gave him the pole position for Sunday's race. Later, the cars would go out for their final attempt, with Hamilton resolute to take pole position from his teammate. But in that final attempt, Rosberg, who had started the lap before Hamilton, made a mistake at the Mirabeau turn, locking the brakes and leaving his car stranded in the runoff area. And having to put out yellow flags to remove the car, no one else could improve their times, including his teammate. Some experts and media outlets accused the German of doing this deliberately to secure the pole position. When asked his opinion, Hamilton responded that he must have imagined this would happen, making it clear that he believed Rosberg had ruined his lap on purpose. However, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile concluded, after investigating, that Rosberg had made an unintentional mistake on his lap. That's what the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile claimed at the time. Hamilton would settle for second place at the start in Monaco. He was helpless to stop Rosberg from securing his second straight win at the Monte Carlo circuit. However, the British, who was still upset about what happened on Saturday and in the post-Grand Prix interviews, made it clear that he and Rosberg were no longer friends. Rosberg regained the World Championship lead after this race, a World Championship marked by Mercedes' crushing dominance and serious reliability issues, which caused Hamilton to have to abandon the Canadian Grand Prix and Rosberg the British Grand Prix. But in this particular duel, the next chapter would come at the Hungarian Grand Prix. At that point, Rosberg was leading the World Championship by 14 points over Hamilton, and in that Grand Prix standings, we would witness another reliability issue that would again affect the 2008 World Champion. In the classification, Hamilton's engine blew up before he completed a single lap, forcing him to start Sunday's race from the pit lane, while Rosberg would comfortably get the first position. During the race, they employed entirely different strategies. However, during the course of it, Sergio Checo Perez would have a hard hit that would force the safety car to come out. The contrasting strategies of Hamilton and Rosberg ensured they would meet later in the race. Hamilton, for his part, was trying to make it to the end with his harder tires while Rosberg was carrying the softer ones, and he would have to stop one more time in the pits. When they met on the track, Hamilton was told via radio not to hold up his teammate, who had a different race strategy. But Hamilton decided to ignore this order and not give up his position, arguing that if he wanted to overtake him, he should do it by running and however he could. A situation that in the long run was correct in the personal aspirations of the Brit. As a result, Rosberg couldn't overtake him at the end of the Grand Prix and finished behind him in the race. But he had disobeyed a direct order from the team, and disobeying an order can lead to an internal sanction. However, Niki Lauda came to his defense, arguing that as a driver, he did what he had to do. After this, there were no sanctions or reprimands against the British. Although again, the spirits would heat up between them both. But now at the Belgium Grand Prix, as during the start of that Grand Prix, Hamilton had snatched the first position from his teammate. But thanks to the suction that the Kemmel Straight provides on the Spa circuit, Rosberg would have enough speed to try to snatch the position at the end of the straight. But when trying it on the Scoms curve, Rosberg boxes in his teammate and ends up hitting his front wing with the rear tire of Lewis Hamilton, causing a puncture in car 44, which would force him to return to the pits at a very slow pace, thus losing any chance of not only achieving victory but also getting into the points in that edition. People who supported Hamilton accused Rosberg of deliberately causing the crash. Even Hamilton himself accused him of the same after the race. A situation that caused the discontent of those present at the circuit, who during the winner's podium did not hesitate to boo Rosberg for what happened. And even Toto Wolff, team boss of Mercedes, was very upset by Rosberg's attitude. Not accusing him of deliberately causing the crash, but furious that his limit maneuver ended with his teammates saying that what he had done was totally unacceptable and that disciplinary measures would be taken against him. In the end, Rosberg ended up apologizing for what happened, but the accusations against him did not stop at that moment. The Formula One World Championship would then proceed. After this Grand Prix, Hamilton went on an incredible streak, winning 5 of the next 6 races. From this point, the two showed immense consistency. Rosberg was faster than Hamilton in qualifying, but the British racer's pace was brutal, far superior to Rosberg's. This allowed him to win races despite not starting from the pole position. After the Brazil Grand Prix that year, Hamilton led the World Championship, 19 points ahead of his teammate. A significant difference that under other circumstances would almost define the World Championship. However, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix would be unique compared to the others. In that year, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile ruled that this specific race would grant double points for the championship, with the intention of extending the fights until the last race and thus bring more excitement to the category. Therefore, Rosberg, although having a tough job to snatch the World Championship from his teammate, it wouldn't be impossible with this new rule. If Rosberg wanted to leave Abu Dhabi as world champion, he had to win the race and Hamilton had to finish third. A difficult task, given that the Mercedes was remarkably quicker than its competitors. To think that any other driver could sneak onto the podium at that moment. It was something difficult to become reality, considering the speed difference that existed between the Mercedes and its rivals. But this is Formula One and anything could happen. Nico Rosberg would get the pole position for that Grand Prix and Lewis Hamilton would start behind him in second position. And during the start, would Hamilton manage to snatch the position from his teammate? Rosberg, for his part, would go behind him, trying to work a miracle, that he overtook him and that someone else could do the same or that something happened. In the British single-seater, however, Nico Rosberg's car would fail, the exact opposite of what was expected, relegating him to 14th place in that race. And with this, Hamilton won his second world championship in his sports career, thus giving the British his second victory in his particular duel against Nico Ross. Thank you.